Good to go.
All righty. So everybody's here and present. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren Town Council. It is Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. And as you can see, we are back in the virtual world on our Zoom platform and YouTube for those tuning in from elsewhere. As we do start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, I just want to give a few reminders now that we're back on this platform to everybody who is participating as a panelist, and for anybody who might be appearing before us this evening, department heads, applicants, whatever it may be, to just please speak clearly, identify yourselves. If you do have the option to turn your camera on, it's appreciated by the council, or at least by me. It's somehow a more realistic experience to see a person rather than just a blank screen and a voice. So if you are able, we appreciate that. For those of us who are participating as panelists, raise your hand. I will be watching, as will those who are running tech for us this evening. So I get texts and messages, and I'll be watching if when everybody's got something to say and to speak about. And yeah, so and try to avoid the over talking, double talking, because on Zoom, YouTube, that just ends up being a mess. I have not received any texts so far from anybody in the public about sound being off or any issues, but I will relay them as they come forward, and hopefully they won't. So if everybody would please stand up, and we will give the Pledge of Allegiance. For the first time in 2022, I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. I think it's a good and fitting way to start the year, but I think we need to take a moment of silence for so many lives, too many lives lost over this past month. But I think we all know in our hearts, one in particular that struck awfully hard. If anybody on the council would like to say a few words about Steve Velasco, just raise your hand, and we can do that after we observe a moment of silence. Okay. Did anybody want to say anything? And it's perfectly okay if it's too difficult to do so.
Mr. Kalenda has his hand up.
Mr. Kalenda.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to extend my condolences to the entire Velasco family. I've known Steve for many, many years. It was extremely heartbreaking when I heard the news, not to go into so much detail, but what I can tell you is Steve will not only be forever remembered, but he will always be remembered on how giving he was to the community and how willing he was to participate. When I first took over Little League, he was at the field helping. What can I do? How can I help? I coached his daughter. So it did definitely sadden my heart, and I will always remember how generous he was, and I will never forget how helpful he was to supporting me, not only in the Little League, but on the town council. So Madam President, I thank you for this opportunity for me to say these words. And Steve, I know you're looking down, and I know you're smiling at us, and we will keep continuing the good fight that you taught us all how to fight. So God bless. May you rest in peace. And again, my deepest sympathies and condolences to the family.
Mr. Hanley has his hand up.
Mr. Hanley.
Yeah, I just, Steve had a special place in this town. Like Councilman Calendar, Steve and I went way, way back. Steve actually married into my family. So it was a personal loss as well as a loss through the town and all the things he's always done. He always seemed like he was always doing something for somebody. And he will be missed. And I just want to wish Michaela and the whole family all the best. And if there's anything they need, please reach out to us. We'll do whatever we can. Thank you.
Thanks. All righty. So at this time, the Poconocotland Acknowledgement Statement says, "Welcome to Solom's, the ancestral home of the Poconoket people for 10,000 years prior to settlers' colonization. We pay tribute to the tribal elders and people of this community who served and continue to serve as stewards of the lands and waterways of Rhode Island and Massachusetts. We recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that our community was a part of the larger ancestral home of the Poconoket Nation. Let this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Poconoket people for the benefit of the lands and waters of Solom's." This was adopted by the Warren Town Council on July 13th, 2021. And with that, I will go to the first item on the agenda, which is the public hearing for the financial year 2022-2023 budget. First, we have a discussion and action regarding the start time for the budget workshops and public hearings. You should all have this document in your packet, which highlighted in yellow are the dates and that require some times filled in. Obviously, right here, right now is January 11th, and we started at 7. So we need to agree on times for the next 3 highlighted dates, which are March 15th and March 22nd, both Tuesdays, and then April 18th, a Monday. In the past, I believe we've started at 6. It tends to be a better time to and give us a little bit more latitude and opportunity to hear, to really get into it. And if anybody has any objections to that, I think a 6 p.m. start time would work. How do we feel about that?
6 o'clock works for me.
I'm fine with that.
I'm
Okay.
good. Works for me.
And we appear to have lost Councilman Di Pasquale. Did he fall and can't get up? Why don't we, let's have a motion to start those 3 meetings at 6. I think there he is. Is 6 okay for you, Councilman Di Pasquale? 6 p.m. start time for those three dates?
I wasn't connected.
Right, so we are trying to establish we're all in agreement that a 6 p.m. start time for the 3 meetings, March 15th and 22nd, which are Tuesdays, and April 18th, which is a Monday for budget workshops is good. Are you, does that work with your schedule?
Sure.
Okay, so
I will make a motion. We set the 6 p.m. start time for the meetings on March 15th, March 22nd, and April 18th.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I was going to make an announcement at the beginning, which I will do now. I missed my one note. Because we are back on Zoom, we had a sort of a tradition or sort of a protocol in the past when votes are taken, that we start to what would be my left and go more roll call votes to be absolutely clear for the clerk and everybody who's watching. When we're in person, it's obvious to see, but I think with the on Zoom, it's easier if we start left, come in, then go to the right and come in with me being last. So I just want to keep that in mind as we move forward with upcoming other votes. The next item is discuss and solicit comments from residents related to goals and objectives for fiscal year 22-23. Is there anybody in the queue who would like to make any statements or requests for this budget process?
Madam Chair, I would ask that they raise their hand because we do know that there's some public comment unrelated to the budget, but I am not aware of anybody that had requested an opportunity to speak to the budget. And I'm not seeing anyone using the, Mr. Gessler had his hand up, but he seemed to disappear. So let me just check for a moment. Mr. Gessler had his hand up, but it's now down and he's muted himself. So,
Mr. Geiser, are you there? And did you wish to
I
be?
need to promote him if he's.
Okay, hand raised. We're having a difficult time hearing you, sir.
I am here and I want to know what
Okay.
I'm afraid if you can hear us, we're having a difficult time understanding you, Mr. Geiser. We are in possession of the email exchange that you've had with the town manager and the rest of us about your request for saving on at 48 Shore Drive. And I can assure you that that information is part of our consideration for the upcoming budget. And we will absolutely let you know as the process moves forward.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other hands raised?
I do not see any, ma'am.
All righty. So do we have a motion to close this public hearing?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
All right. So we go to the left. Councilman Di Pasquale, all in favor? That's an aye. Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and Vice President Hanley.
Aye.
All righty, so the ayes have it. Public hearing is closed. Moving forward to public comment, I know that we do have a member, the chair of the Arts and Cultural Commission, Erin DeThomas. Erin, I see your screen. I see your name. Can you turn your camera on?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay, good. I don't see an option to turn on my camera. Do I need permission from somebody to do that?
It would be on the lower left column of your screen next to the microphone. There is a movie camera icon.
I know, I don't have it. I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, interesting.
We hear you loud
Oh,
and clear. Erin DeThomas is the chair of our Arts and Cultural Commission, and you have the floor.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for your time. We submitted our 2021 annual report to you all and just wanted to have an opportunity to sort of verbally share what we've done this past year and kind of open up a dialogue with all of you. So let's see, 2021, we ended up spending a lot of time in community outreach. We were really trying to establish ourselves as a commission and also start to really build and establish relationships with the different cultural institutions, art organizations, and artists around the community. We began the year collaborating with the Avenue Concept and the town, painting the 7 electric boxes around town. You've probably seen them. They're really beautiful. They came out great. We planned a spring art stroll to coincide with the unveiling and the painting of those boxes, sort of a way to involve the community and get people engaged and sort of out and about. I don't believe that the weather was as cooperative with that as we were hoping, but the attempt was definitely still there. In the summer, we began to outreach to local cultural institutions, the art organizations and artists to sort of introduce ourselves and ask them how we could be the most supportive for them. We really just want to sort of create a partnership with all of these different institutions and organizations so that we can be as supportive as possible. We had we hosted or sponsored a community art project down at Burrs Hill, where there's 22 beautifully painted wooden panels inspired by the history of Warren, sort of showcased on the building. And our last sort of community endeavor was in conjunction with the Warren Walkabout, where we led two guided tours of the public art throughout Warren. So again, we just really were working to kind of establish ourselves and create and build these relationships. And we're always open to feedback and suggestions and ideas. And our meetings take place on the second Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock. So if anybody has any interest in joining us or attending, we would love that.
Thank
Where
you,
are the
Erin.
meetings held?
This month they're on Zoom, of course. We've been having them at Maker's Studio over on 30 Cutler Street. It sort of changes off and on, so it's always a good idea to check ahead of time.
Thank you.
Councilman Heckard?
Councilman Heckard here. Good evening, Mr. Thomas. Thank you for doing this and giving us the report. I noticed that you are brainstorming on a local streamlined calendar, which I think is a great idea, because I think many times events in town aren't coordinated on any one calendar. I think it's something we should be working towards. So I noticed that, and so I just wanted to reiterate, I think it's a great idea. If we can put it on the town website, even better, but I appreciate the efforts on that.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any other comments or ideas?
I have one question for Mr. DeSisto.
Yes.
Anthony, in the past, when town boards were not at town hall, I can't quite remember what that decision was in the past, but do you remember that question in the past? I forget what board was meeting outside of town hall, and there was some confusion. It actually came back to the council.
I do, yes. That was the tree commission. And under the Open Meetings Act and as interpreted by the Attorney General, typically town boards and commissions are required to meet in the usual place of business, that being town hall.
Isn't the Arts and Cultural Commission an ad hoc commission?
That's correct, yes. To my understanding.
Right.
And
I mean,
so,
the definition of ad hoc doesn't take it outside of it being a commission in the town.
But it's we post their meetings. We give the location.
I understand. I'm not criticizing the process that's followed. All that my memory brought up was that the same process was being followed in the past, and there was a question and a ruling. So it just sparked my memory. I remembered that the tree commission was doing their honest and fair work. It's just that, we were petitioned with a question and we had an answer. So just a bee in the bonnet, that's all.
At this time, I believe that the Arts and Cultural Commission, the Economic Development Board, and I feel like one other meet outside of town hall. Am I correct?
In the past, the Economic Board has met at other locations. Most recently, it's been meeting at town hall, but the Arts and Cultural Commission has started to meet remotely at Makers.
Okay. Well, if that requires some sort of exception be made, or if there's a reason why they need to be meeting in town hall, let's get that addressed. Vice President Hanley?
This is for the solicitor. Tony, is it okay that they're doing this, or do we need to have them stop meeting back at town hall?
Well, and Joe is correct. I was asked to provide an opinion on where boards and commission should be meeting. What I'll need to do is tab back to that to see if it applies also to these types of committees that are not mentioned either by ordinance or by the charter. I'll check that and I'll get back to you all.
Thank you.
Very good. So again, Ms. DeThomas, if you have nothing further to share to us, we thank you very much for your report and your continued good work and that of your board.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Aaron.
Is there anybody else out there for public comment? If there is, please raise your hand.
I don't believe anyone else contacted the town clerk expressing an interest to speak.
All righty, hearing none others, then we will proceed to the election of town council officers. I will take a moment to just say a word or two. My time as the chairperson, the leader, the president of this town council has been an honor and a privilege, and I will support and stand by whatever the vote brings this evening. I would like to say that the accomplishments of the council have been significant these past 3 years, and I'm quite proud of all that we've done. And the work and the fortitude and the commitment and the loyalty of all of the department heads, the manager, all of the support staff, the solicitors, police and fire during unprecedented times of pandemic and unspeakable loss and tragedies have just been really, it's been truly fulfilling to see how people have come together, and I'm proud to be part of all of this and looking forward to the rest of the year doing good work for the town of Warren. So I thank you all, and with that, we'll look for a raised hand for a nomination. Councilman Heckard, we're accepting nominations for the position of town council president. Councilman Heckard.
Well, I nominate Carrie Cronin to be reelected as president of the town council.
Hearing no second, I will entertain another nomination if there is one out there. Councilman Kalenda.
I nominate John Hanley for
Second.
president.
We have a motion and we have a second for John Hanley. Again, I will start to my left. Councilman DePasquale, your vote.
Aye.
Councilman Heckard.
Abstain.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
Vice President Hanley.
Aye.
And just like that, we have a new president. Congratulations, President John Hanley. At this time, I would hand the meeting over to you if that is your wish.
Kerry, I would like to ask, due to the logistics of this whole Zoom thing, and respect for your work in the past, if you wouldn't mind, I would like you to preside over this meeting. And we'll start again new next month, if that's okay with you.
That is just fine with me. I would ask for one little favor. It's a break of protocol. But if and when, or when, I won't say if, when we do end up back in council chambers, meeting in person, I know that it doesn't matter where we sit because we are all one equal vote, but I would really like the opportunities to sit to the far left, closest to the window. The fresh air is invigorating, and I promise I will bring my very best to every meeting. But I would like to have a little fresh air on one side of me, if that is okay. And you don't have to decide now. That is yours to decide as the incoming president. But I just lodged that request with you now. And thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
All
Thank
righty.
you, everybody, for your support.
You're welcome. So next, we are entertaining nominations for the Town Council Vice President. Councilman Heckert.
I nominate Kerry Cronin for Vice President of Council.
Hearing no second, do we have another nomination? President Handley.
I nominate Steve Kalenda for Vice President.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Steve Kalenda for Vice President. I will start to my left. Councilman Heckert.
No.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
Oops, I forgot Councilman Di Pasquale. I don't know how I did that. Councilman Di Pasquale.
Interesting. Aye.
And President Handley.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have a new vice president. Councilman Kalenda, vice president now. Thank you very much. I will continue on. Interviews. So we have Conservation Commission board. There is one position open on the 7-member board. We have 2 applicants with us this evening. I will, first applicant is April Dembeck. You should all have her resume application in front of you. Is Ms. Dembeck available to join the meeting?
She should be. She's here. I tried to promote her, and if she is promoted, she needs to unmute herself. There you
There
go.
you. Oh, and on camera too. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Welcome to the meeting, Ms. Dembeck. We have here your application to serve on the Conservation Commission. Could you maybe tell us a little about yourself and why you would like to serve?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, April Dembeck. Originally from the West Coast, moved here and really looking for a way to become more involved. My background is in sustainability and conservation work for the past 10 years. I feel like I could bring a lot to it. I'm very passionate about this community, and my goal is simply to bring my skills and experience to the commission and hopefully stay for as long as you'll have me.
Thank you very much. I will open the questions from the council in a moment. I'll ask mine first. And have you attended any Conservation Commission board meetings?
No.
Not yet. Okay. Do you know when they meet?
I don't.
Neither do I. All right. Do any members of the council have questions for Ms. Dembeck? Please raise your hand. President Handley?
The first question is going to be for Bob. Bob, what day of the month does the
The Conservation Commission meets on the 4th Monday of the month at
what
7
time?
o'clock at Town Hall.
Okay, so my question would be, now that you're aware of the time, would you be able to attend the meetings and would you have the time to put into the commission?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Carrie, I got a couple of questions real quick. Oh, go ahead, Brent. You can go first.
Councilman
Okay.
Hecker.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, Ms. Dembeck. Thank you for
Hello.
applying. You have obviously the experience and education and to do well in this position. What are you doing right now professionally? I didn't see it on your resume.
I work in disaster response and recovery from a nationwide scope, so I support all 56 state and territory with their nonprofit, government, private sector disaster response alongside the White House and FEMA. We're kind of the nonprofit side.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that information. Appreciate it.
Vice President Hanley, did you have questions?
Nope, I already asked my question.
I mean, I meant Kalenda, getting confused, sorry.
That's all right. Steve's still good with me.
Okay.
I'm a first name type of guy. Hey, April, I think you are underselling your resume. I can read between the lines. Is it safe to say you've gone through some ICS training with FEMA?
Yes.
And is it safe to say that ICS 700, have you gone all the way up that high?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Not only should we motion to approve to put her on a board, but we may want to put her on our payroll. So April, thank you very well for applying. I have a motion to approve her nomination.
Well, before we do that, we do have one other applicant with us this evening, I believe, which I appreciate your eagerness to grab this one, but we do owe an interview to Derek Trombley. Is Mr. Trombley with us?
Yes,
I am with you.
Hello, Mr. Trombley. Okay, so have you been to a meeting of the Conservation Commission in the past?
No, I have not.
You have not. Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Trombley?
If I may, before I get asked a question, I know this is a bit unorthodox, but I applied to this position thinking that I was the only applicant, and this was obviously a board that I was very interested in. But hearing my fellow nominee, I suppose, Ms. Denbeck, she's eminently qualified and much more, I think, could offer a much better perspective on this commission than I could. Would it be possible to withdraw my name from consideration?
Yes.
Yes, that is very possible. And we appreciate and respect you doing that. Thank you.
Mr. Trombley, I was going to ask you what board you wanted to be on because you also want to be on the Economic Development Board.
Well, I suppose we'll talk about those when we get to them, but I signed up. Currently I'm on the Tax Assessors Board for the town, and I wanted to expand my horizons, so I asked if it would be possible to serve on multiple boards. And the clerk's office said that would be okay, but I could not continue to serve on the Tax Assessors Board. So I applied for Conservation Commission, Economic Development Council, as well as one other one, which is escaping my mind at this moment. So
Parks.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. So that's
Parks
what I was going to ask you. What? See, there are 3 positions available there. There's one position on economic development, and the one that Miss Dembeck applied for. So I was going to cut to the chase and see, and you beat me to it, but we still are on the same topic of what board would you really want to be on if you got appointed? Because the other 2 are going to be very available. But I'd feel more comfortable with you being on a board that you can commit yourself to and get the feel of the lay of the land.
Well, the good thing is that and with respect, I have a lot of experience with the Tax Assessors Board, and if it's possible, I'd like to commit my time to both boards. I'd like to commit my time as much as possible to this town, to this community, which I grew up in, which I love. And I guess if you were saying if I had to pick one, I could only be on one.
I'm not asking you to leave. I'm not asking you to leave the board you're on now. What I'm asking is you've applied for 2 additional boards. and there are openings. So unless you say to us right now tonight, I don't want to be on the other two boards, I want to be on one of the other boards, because by default, you could get appointed on both of those other boards if you so want to. I think that's a bit much. That's why I'm asking you, since you brought up this topic.
Of course.
You have an opportunity that's kind of rare. There are as many people as applicants. I mean, as many positions as applicants. So you could have pick and choose what you want to be on tonight.
I've known you a long time, Joe. You're a great person. You've been a mentor to me, and I know you're looking out for me. But I'm willing to take, the plunge, and I'm willing to commit my time to both boards. And I'd very much like to serve on both of them simultaneously, if possible.
So you want to be on 3 boards?
No, I can't be on the tax assessor's board.
Oh, I got you. Thank you.
I'm gonna step in here. Mr. Trombley, if you had noticed on correspondence, submitted a resignation to the Tax Assessors Board of Review, because as per our town charter, you cannot serve on other boards and commissions if you are on the Tax Assessors Board of Review. So he has already done that part in resigning. We have it in correspondence. We will accept it. And so he is has the opportunity to apply for other boards and commissions. I think we should proceed with a motion to appoint the applicant we have before us, April Dembeck, and then we can proceed with the other boards and commission interviews.
I believe Mr. Councilman Kalender already made a motion to appoint. I will second that motion.
All righty. So to my left, Councilman DePasquale, your vote for Ms. Dembeck.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
President Hanley,
Aye.
and Steve.
Aye.
Congratulations and thank you very much, Ms. Dembeck. You have been appointed to the Conservation Commission. We appreciate your application and look forward to your good work.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good luck, April.
All righty. So next we have the Economic Development Board. There are 2 positions available. It is a 10-member board with 2 alternates. Question, is the position being considered this evening a full member or an alternate?
A full member.
It is a full member, okay? And so we have 1 applicant. It is Derek Trombley. And if he wants to unmute and turn himself camera back on, and now you can unmute yourself. Thank you. So your application before us is clear about what you want to, why you want to participate, but it doesn't say much else about your current employment or other things that might convince us as to why you would be a good fit for this board.
Oh, well, I apologize. I thought I had provided a resume, but I was mistaken, perhaps. Well, currently I'm a student. I'm a law student at Suffolk University, and I'm also getting a master's in public administration at the same time. I'm scheduled to graduate in May of this year, and then I'll take the bar exam. Currently, I'm employed at the State House. I'm a policy analyst for the House Policy Office at the State House. And, now that my law school career is finishing, my academic sort of path is ending, I wanted to get more involved locally. I've been a part of the Tax Assessors Board for many years now. It's been a great privilege. I've learned a lot of, interesting and important information about how the town works. I've been a resident of this town for my entire life. I love it very much. And I would like, if possible, to serve on the Economic Development Board, because obviously economic development is so important to our town's livelihood. It's part of our future, which I very much hope to be a part of. I have a little bit of experience. My father is a business owner. We paint parking lots throughout the Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And I have a minor in economics from Rhode Island College from a few years ago. With that background, I think that I would be an appropriate choice for this position, and I very much hope that you will confirm me. Thank you.
Madam President, I think Mr. Trombley would be an excellent addition to the Economic Development Board.
Thank you for your opinion. President Hanley?
Yeah, just Derek, after listening to you talk, you got one heck of a busy schedule. Are you going to have time to dedicate to these boards? Bob, the Economic Development Board, the meeting day and time?
Well, that's somewhat in flux right now, Mr. Hanley. We were meeting in the mornings at 8 o'clock. That doesn't seem to work for everyone, so we're doing a census of the members to see what works best. But if we're meeting remotely or we're doing hybrids, then I think Mr. Trombley would be able to participate. But I prefer that we meet in the early mornings, but that doesn't work for everybody. So that has not been finalized yet.
Okay, so Derek, you would have the time to do this?
Yes. So one of the actual, I don't want to call it this, but the blessings of COVID is that I don't have to commute in from Rhode Island to Boston on a daily basis. So I have much more free time to spend. And I don't have any commitments. I think he said 8 a.m., Mr. Rulli. So, obviously it's a big schedule, but I can do it. I know that I can, and I really want to. So I hope that you will allow me to.
Motion to appoint.
And I'll second that. And
yeah,
Derek, best of luck to you moving forward.
I just want to ask one quick question of the solicitor. Tony, this is, I don't know if it's unprecedented, but if we appoint him here, could we still put him on the rec board as well?
Yeah, I got to tell you that to me, one of the concerns with being on the Economic Development Board and the activity there, if Mr. Trombley was also on the Tax Board of Review, that could create a conflict between the two boards. However, if he's on the Economic Development Board and Parks and Recreation Commission, there's not a conflict there. And again, Economic Development Board does not have that place in the charter or the ordinance. So I think it's okay in this instance.
Okay.
All righty. So we have a motion by Councilman DePasquale and a second from Mr. Calenda to appoint Derek Trombley to the Economic Development Board. I will start again to my left. Councilman DePasquale, your vote.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Mr. Calenda.
Aye.
And President Hanley.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Trombley. You have been appointed to the Economic Development Board. Mr. Rulli, who acts as liaison to that board, will reach out to you with schedules and any information that will support your transition into that position. Thank you so much. And now we have the Holiday Festival Coordinator. There is one position. They are majorly big shoes to fill, but there is a majorly big shoed person who has applied. So Elwood Donnelly, are you with us? There you
I am.
Mr. Donnelly. Convince us why we should appoint you to this position. I'm ready to do it right now. Before you say no, you changed your mind.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if you wanted to take a month to let me have my head examined.
Enough said. Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Second. Yep.
Elwood, without taking your moment to say anything, like I said, you do have very big shoes to fill. Marilyn Matheson has done a spectacular job for many years selflessly, and I know you have helped her as well as helped so many others, help the community in so many other ways with your skills and your talents. So we believe in you. Is there anything, just one big thing you'd like to say?
I do. I just did want to say thank you for letting me come before you again, and that this is such a great part of the community. I mean, if anyone who attends the Warren Holiday Festival doesn't feel the spirit of Christmas by the end of the weekend, then and need to, I don't know, reevaluate. But just something I'm very interested in, and I've had some sit downs with Marilyn, and she assures me that she'll help me if I get elected to this position, and it's something I'd really like to do, and hopefully be able to do it at least as well as she did.
I'm sure you will bring your own flavor and special skills to the job. And with the motion and the second, Councilman DePasquale, your vote?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Kalenda?
100% yes.
And President Hanley?
Aye.
You have been appointed the chair of the Holiday Festival Coordinator, and we thank you, and you have our full support and my personal pledge to help in whatever way I can. So thank you so much, Elwood Donnelly.
Well,
there is one position open on the Harbor Commission. Anybody out there who is listening and watching, please consider the opportunity to serve the community. You could always reach out to our Harbor Master, Mr. Cabral, or to members of the Harbor Commission who can be identified on the town website to ask questions if it might be a good fit for somebody out there. And next we have 3 positions open on the Warren Parks and Recreation Board. Last month we did have a series of resignations. It's a 5-member board, and it won't continue with just those 2 members. So first we have applicant Jennifer Renaud.
She's here.
Hello. Unmute yourself, Ms. Renaud. Hello.
Hi.
I'm waving to you.
I'm waving to you too.
Hi. Okay, so yes, we have your application and your resume. Perhaps tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to serve on this.
Sure. So I've been a resident of Warren since 2013. My background is mostly in education and a nonprofit. Prior to the role that I have now, I'm Director of Grant Administration at Family Service. Prior to that, I was Director of After-School Programs and Summer Camps at Hope High School in Providence. I loved that role. I loved working with the kids. I loved coming up with creative activities and way to engage them in the community and bring in resources for them. However, I did it for 15 years. It was time for me to move on. So when I saw this opportunity come up, I thought it was a really great way for me to work with my town, give back to the community, and hopefully impact positively the programs and resources that my daughter is going to be taking advantage of.
Sounds like a pretty good reason. Any members of the council have questions? President Hanley?
Yep, my same question I ask everybody. Will you have the time to commit to the board to do what you need to do?
I will. And I did, the last time I had checked, I think it was one night a week and it was Tuesdays, and that's fine with me. I can pretty much make any night a week, any one night a month work.
Great, thank you.
Good. Any other questions from the council?
Yeah, motion to approve.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to appoint Jennifer Renaud to the Warren Parks and Recreation Board. Councilman DePasquale, your vote?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Aye.
Mr. Kalenda?
Aye.
And President Hanley?
Aye.
Congratulations, Ms. Renaud. You are now a member of the Warren Parks and Recreation Board, and thank you so much for applying. And how about if Mr. Trombley lights back up and unmutes?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
There you are, jumping around on the screen. So you're, if I was listening before, you are a student at Suffolk, and once you come back into a more regular schedule, how often are you commuting back and forth to the Boston area?
Just one day.
Just one day? And so you're confident that the schedule of the EDB and the Parks and Rec won't be
Yes.
too much? Okay, any other questions from the council?
You want to be on the Harbor Commission also?
Sure.
Motion to appoint to the rec board, and your attendance will tell us your commitment.
Right.
Good luck.
I'll second that motion. And I just, Mr. Trombley, if you do have trouble maintaining your commitment, please let us know. So we could actually, find someone that would have the time. I'm not saying you don't, but if you find yourself not having the time, please let us know rather than us have to find out from somebody else.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. But don't let Mr. DeSisto fool you. Law school's not that hard.
Oh,
Depends on the law school you go to.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew that was
Haven't voted yet.
all righty, so we have a motion and we have a second to appoint Derek Trombley to the Warren Parks and Recreation Board. Councilman DePasquale.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Mr. Kalenda.
Aye, and best of luck to you, Derek.
And President Hanley.
Aye.
And Mr. Trombley, you are now also a member of the Parks and Recreation Board, and you will be receiving some communication about schedules and backup information soon. Thank you so much. So check, both of those. Next, we have appointments. The Arts and Cultural Commission the December meeting, we identified the terms as 3-year terms, and this month we will reappoint all of those members. It is my understanding that all of the members listed here have expressed their intention to be reappointed.
Yeah, so those are the original remaining members, Madam Chair. Mr. Donnelly, Elwood Donnelly was appointed at the last meeting. You do have one vacancy that you'll deal with when you get to correspondence. Ms. Armstrong has resigned as well. So there'll be an advertisement for an additional member next month. But yeah, this is just kind of a housekeeping to get this in line with all the other appointments.
Very well. So do we have a motion to appoint the slate as listed here?
So moved.
Second.
All righty, so Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Mr. Kalenda,
Aye.
President Hanley.
Aye.
All righty, the ayes have it. Arts and Cultural Commission, Aaron DeThomas, Uriah Donnelly, Darby Ponce, James Goff, Perry DiLorenzo, Linda McGathlin, and Susan Roplatt Walker have all been reappointed. Next, we have the Tax Board of Assessment Review Group. It's a 3-year term. There are 5 members, and we are reappointing Paula Wolfang, who has expressed interest in being reappointed. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All righty.
Aye.
Councilman Pasquale, Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Mr. Kalenda,
Aye.
President Hanley.
Aye.
And we have reappointed Paula Wolfang to the Tax Board of Assessment Review Group. Very well. Next, we have the acceptance of minutes. We have the executive session minutes. Do we have a motion to accept these?
I will make a motion. We accept the executive session minutes from December 14, 2021.
Second.
All right, I will entertain for purposes of time and all together now, aye.
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 Any nays?
Abstention. I wasn't there.
Very well.
I will make a motion. We accept the December 14, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstention? I suppose so. And okay, those meetings minutes have been accepted. Next, we have Ordinance 101, Article 2, Alcoholic Beverages, Taverns, Fiddling Houses, Division 1, generally, Section 11-28, limitation on number of Class B liquor licenses. This is a first reading. So we have had the BV licenses always designated a number, but we've never had a number attached to the BVL licenses. I have a question about the language here. We have it as the maximum number of Class B or the maximum number of Class BVL license. Would it be more correct and truthful to say is currently set at? Because we could, with the petition of a new business, add one on. There is no state max to how many BV or BVL licenses we can create, is there?
No, there is no limitation, but typically in ordinances of this nature, what happens is the language that used is in there, it's fixed at. If someone was to come forward that would require a license, a BVL license beyond the 6 number, then they would petition the council to amend the ordinance to move it up. That gives the town some control over how many liquor licenses are issued. In previous years, that was a significant issue for the town, for the amount of licenses that were issued. But in recent years, as part of its economic development efforts, it's been pretty much a free access to get in there. But that's why the language is used. It tracks what is not only currently in the ordinance, but also in other communities as well.
Make a motion to keep the language as recommended by the solicitor and approve.
Or to move to a second reading. Councilman Hecker, did you have a question before I say your hand?
That's my motion, yes, obviously. I appreciate all of the guidance you're giving me tonight, Ms. Cronin.
Anytime, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I did question the word maximum. I'll defer obviously to the solicitor on this, but we don't have a maximum number, so it's a set number and it's fixed at this time, but it's not a maximum number. So just it's a little disingenuous, I guess you'd say. But obviously the solicitor expressed that his opinion on that, and I obviously will defer. So.
All righty, so we have a motion from Councilman Pasquale to move this on to a second reading. We have a second?
I seconded it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Pasquale, your vote?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Aye.
Mr. Kalenda?
Aye.
Mr. Hanley?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We will move this on to a second vote or a second reading. 02 is Article V 111, is that 8? Division 3, donation container bins, Section 11-311. This had been brought forward last month by Councilman Kalenda as an issue in town. We all agreed, and we have some language here. How does everybody feel about the language for this?
I like it. I read through it. I was happy with it. Did we kind of like cut and paste this from another city or another community?
I based it off of some existing language, although I will say that Mr. Kalenda did give some suggestions to me that are not present in other ordinances, but I did think was particularly appropriate for enforcement purposes.
Good.
Councilman Hecker?
Just a question on B6, the permit. Permit shall be issued. How long is that permit issued for typically?
In other communities, it's not on an annual basis. It's issued once. But that's something that, I think is appropriate for time limit purposes if you think that's something you want.
I just think it would kind of reiterate what we're trying to do here, which is monitor these things closely. So might want to put a limit on that permit, an annual, or maybe, something to that effect.
Yeah, an annual permit makes a lot of sense. And that way there, if the people walk away and they're not interested, we're going to know right away when they don't come back to renew their permit. So, yeah, I would support a change to that.
Thank you.
And a cost attached to that permit?
I don't know if we actually need to put a cost to it.
Yeah, I agree, with John. It's not so much as far as generating revenue, it's more or less staying on top of them and tracking them, and making sure that they stay compliant. So if our town clerk feels like, a $5 fee needs to be appropriate because of generating some paper clips and paper, then okay. But otherwise, I don't really see a fee for it. It's more or less just making sure they're in compliance. So, Tony, did you come up with any application fees in other communities?
There aren't any.
Yeah, I didn't think so. The biggest concern is just making sure that they just keep the areas maintained. And if they don't, then we have the ability to take action. And I think our ordinance is right on top of all of that, so.
Yep, and with the permit, we'll have all the contact information. If it's an LLC, we'll have the agent for service. So that would all be much easier for us to take action if we had to.
And the other thing too, and I'll stop, is that it's the compliance issue is also with the property that it's located at. I know that these owners of these bins will be like, well, come to us. And it's like, well, if you're located in the Midwest or down south or not in the state of Rhode Island, it's much easier to get to the property owner and having the property owner make it and being a partnership instead of them just placing the bin there and to reap whatever rental they get. So that's why I feel that we go towards, keeping the property owner in compliance. So that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? If we pass this on, we have the final go over next month.
Make a motion, we passed donation container bin section 11-311 for first reading and send it to next month for second reading.
So moved.
Is that with the proposed amendment as to the
Yes,
annual license?
With the proposed amendment, creating an annual permit.
With corrections noted, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman DePasquale.
Right.
Eckert.
Aye.
Mr. Glenda.
Aye.
And President Hanley.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We will pass this on to a second reading next month.
And thanks again, Tony, for the help with this. You did a great job with it. Thank you.
All righty. Public hearing 1. The Class D from the Italo-American Citizens Club of Warren. Are we still continuing that to next month pending outcome of court case?
That's correct, yes.
Anthony, at this time, could you give us a time frame of where we're at with the DBR hearing? Is it past that? Is it?
The attorney for the club had some surgery and is recovering. That set things back. And we're also waiting for some receipt of some additional information from the Rhode Island State Police. And it's not, it's due more to receipt of some of the information in their investigation that I don't think they have in their possession yet. Those are the two hold up, but I expect that we're going to be able to take this up at the February meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And do we have any knowledge, as Chief Borges on the line, have there been any complaints or anything happening there? Have they been flying low under the radar, keeping regular hours? Anything happening? I think we probably would have heard by now. Ms.
Hand
Michelle?
up. There's a hand up.
Yep.
It's the chief.
Can somebody allow Chief Borges to speak? I can't control it from here.
I'm trying to promote him.
I
He
can't
should be
either.
there now.
I'm not seeing the raised hand, and there's Chief Borges.
He has to unmute himself.
We'll get this Zoom thing.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, we have not any complaints from the Italian club. They've been abiding by the guidelines of serving alcohol at noon and closing at 8. Yes, no issues.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. All righty. So do we need a motion to continue this to the February meeting?
You do, yes.
I'll make a motion. We continue the public hearing for the Class D liquor license for the Itlo American Citizens Club till the next regularly scheduled town council meeting in February.
Second.
And we will take a vote. Councilman DePasquale,
Aye.
Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and Mr. Hanley.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This will be continued. Does that count as a public hearing? Were we open in public hearing, or?
That
Not
would be a
really?
public hearing. Yes, you're continuing the public hearing to the February meeting.
So we don't need to close it?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Moving on to petitions. We have a request for a Fiddling license for Michaela Belasco, doing business as Belasco's Pizza at 254 Market Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, I think this is just a name change, so I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yes, what's happening here is a new license being created for Mrs. Belasco, and the old license, the old victualling license will be terminated.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert, can Kalenda,
Aye.
and Hanley.
Aye.
Alrighty, the ayes have it. Moving on to correspondence. So we have all of the correspondence in front of us. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull for discussion? We've already heard from the Arts and Cultural Commission. We have annual reports from the Rec Department and the Zoning Board and the WVHDC and the Housing Authority. And then we have 2 letters of resignation, one from our new double board member, Mr. Trombley, and one from an Arts and Cultural Commission member, Amy Armstrong. Is there anything else that anybody would like to pull, discuss, question?
I'd like to send a letter of thanks to Amy Armstrong, and that's all.
Hey, Carrie, I have just something real quick for either Tony or no, Ben, you're here. Ben, you handle the zoning stuff, correct?
Correct.
And nothing in Superior Court? They just have one that's been remanded back?
Yes, one case remanded back. We're gonna be hearing it next month, actually this month.
Hearing it this month?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, good. Everything looks good from zoning. Nice job. Thank you.
thank you.
All righty, do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the correspondence.
I'll second that.
All righty, unless there are none in opposition, we can consider this passed.
Well, that's also Mr. Hanley's, in your motion is to send a letter of support for.
Correct, yes.
the work.
Letter of support to Amy and to file the correspondence.
Thank you.
All right. New business or old business. Discussion and approval to install stop signs at the intersection of Seymour Street and Barden Lane. Mr. Rulli, the planner and leader of the Transportation Advisory Group.
Traffic Advisory Group, the TAG.
Oh, traffic, right. Go ahead.
So the solicitor has advised that actually the police chief has the ability to authorize this independently of the council. Based on the requests at the last meeting, we did some research, the chief did research and had the electronic board out on Eisenhower and Ridgeway. Prior to installing this sign, I think he wants to do the similar, because we learned some important information in terms of traffic counts, speed. So if in fact, at the end of that evaluation period, he decides to put a stop sign up, he can, but we may decide not to do that. I think that, you know, the suggestions that there was excessive speeding on Ridgeway, Chief Borges can speak to this, but there wasn't excessive speeding. There was one incident where somebody was over 50 miles an hour, but not, you know, rampant. So we kept this on the agenda because we had it previously through the traffic advisory group, but I think that, you know, the chief would like to have another month to look at what the traffic situation is in this location.
So you're recommending no action now?
Right, and as the solicitor had advised, that it's completely within the discretion of the police chief.
Right, and then the council would do the approval of it.
And actually, I think what, Tony, you can weigh in, that doesn't require council approval.
Actually, Joe, what's happened, you might remember this came up in the past, I think about 6 years ago.
Right.
And the question is who has authority to place stop signs? It's not in the ordinance book, and in fact, it's contained in the statutes. And that power is conferred to the police chief.
You don't have to codify them, like with parking signs?
Yeah, it's not in the ordinance. But that said, and if you recall what happened previously, the practice here has been that the police chief will have the matter forwarded to the council for discussion and action, and oftentimes for consent. And I think Chief Borges is comfortable with that. But the ultimate authority for placing stop signs is with the chief of police by statute.
Interesting. Thank you.
So in essence, we're giving a blessing.
That's correct, yes.
So all in favor of blessing the stop sign intersection of Cedar Street and Lane?
Well, yeah, actually,
I thought he wanted to continue it till next month.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we continue the old business. One for the installation of a stop sign at the corner at the intersection of Seymour and Barden till next month's meeting.
Second.
Ready? Councilman DePasquale?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda?
Aye.
And Hanley?
Aye.
We have moved it up forward. New business, NB1, discussion and action regarding placement of a granite memorial marker inlaid on brick sidewalk on the corner of Joyce and Main Street, dedicating the spot as Delectus Corner. This is an agenda item brought forward by Councilman DePasquale. I would give him the floor to tell us about the timing on this. And yeah, Councilman DePasquale.
Thank you. Last month, Butch Lombardi had posted a photograph that he has taken of the first snow over the years of Delectus Pharmacy. And he has a very, very large following on his photos. And this photo particularly, I think, received like 26,000 hits. And during the dialogue that had started, the reminiscing, the feelings of fondness that not only the location, but the family that has operated that business at that location, it started to come out through some dialogues online that it would be such a fitting monument to declare that as Delecta's Corner, because who knows if down the road, maybe the business wouldn't be Delecta's anymore, or things happen. And as we know, memorializing something does give a unique perspective and a honor and a dedication to the memories that we all have created there and continue to. And close friend of mine, and I'm sure many people here listening, Miss Delecta lost her life on that corner in that crosswalk. And that actually wasn't mentioned that day, but it's something that's always in my mind. I was, going to go to the theater with her that night in her company with others. And it's just been something that I never really understood how we could do such an honorary position to take. And this has showed itself. I believe we're not alone in our feelings and in our dedication. What we would actually be requesting is permission from the state to do this. Not looking for anything large. I'm not looking for anything to do anything other than what we say. A flat granite, that corner is now bricked. So a flat granite on the corner, simply recognizing and memorializing that location physically as Delecta's Corner. And we would be asking the state for permission. We would remove 6 or 8 bricks, whatever the very appropriate size marker would be. And I know I spoke with Sean Lowney, who's Kathy's son and the Delecta's grandson and nephews. And wholeheartedly, he asks for the support. I haven't had the opportunity to see Tracy, but I can't imagine that any Delecta would not like this, knowing how fond the location and their treatment of Warrenites, as well as people outside of this community, always was nothing but top notch. So that's my motion to ask for permission. And given that permission by the state, I hope we will then, as we do in Warren, figure out a way to have it done. And hopefully in the spring have it laid. And it'll be an appreciation by a lot of people. So I have no more formal plan than that. I don't know if Mr. Lombardi is on the line, because I really didn't think we needed much lobbying on this, because I think all of us share this once brought up, and hear this request, share the feelings to support it. So I leave it now to you. Thank you.
I'll second your motion, Councilman Di Pasquale. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, 100%, Joe. Great job.
So we have a.
I'm just the medium here. This was truly something that that was spurned by the feelings of and the imagery of captured by Butch Lombardi. So
yeah.
So we have a motion and a second to approve doing this. I don't think anyone.
I think the motion is to request permission from the state to do this.
Correct. I was going to expand upon that. So Manager Michaud, we would be directing you, I believe, to reach out to the state.
Yes.
For permission. So let's be really clear so we can move this forward in a linear fashion. And then once we get that approval, then there will be a design component and to complete, and whatever the funding is, we will find it.
If I could add, I do believe that our design is probably going to have to be included. What I'm requesting is a flush. So the depth would be flush to the surface. So when Ms. Michaud does right to the state, because when I discussed this with Mr. DeSisto, it is a state road. We are going to have to get their permission. So I'm sure we would have to come up with a 2 by 2 foot dimension or whatever we feel appropriate. And then that would be included in our request if need be. But yes, that you're correct.
All righty, so we have a motion and a second to direct the manager basically to reach out to the state for permission to inlay into the brick at the corner of Joyce and Main this memorial marker on behalf of the or creating it or designating it Delectus Corner. So
Correct.
It would be a physical alteration permit application.
okay, very well.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so the vote, Councilman Di Pasquale, Councilman Heckert,
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda,
Aye.
and President Hamlin.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. I think this is really a good thing to do. Town manager, discussion and action regarding approval of the ARPA funding. I will turn this over to Manager Renaud now to go section by section, and she can take questions from the council.
Sure. Just to introduce this quickly, as you know, we've come a long way in our process on the allocation of the ARPA funding. There was the public input survey that was provided, and then we reviewed those results recently with the council with the assistance of our consultants, HCH. We've further refined these plans. We've met with the state's Office of Pandemic Recovery to review our proposed projects. We've met with various stakeholders. And the stage where we're at right now is we're refining the project charters for each of the proposed projects. And at this point, so each project charter includes the scope of the project, the deliverables, and the milestones with target dates. The goal is, first of all, to be conservative, because we want to make sure that, as I said before, we want to make absolutely sure that we're spending these funds in accordance with the requirements and that we're not putting ourselves at risk, because the penalty for misspending the funds is giving them back, which is not something we want to risk. And the other thing we want to make sure we do is that we enter into each project knowing what the end result is going to be and knowing what the metrics of the project are going to be, so that we know how to report on these projects before we even get started. Well, we also don't want to end up at the end of a project not really sure if it achieved its intended goal because we weren't clear at the outset about what that goal is. So with that in mind, we've been working on these project charters, and we have 3 projects that are ready to move forward at this point. All of them are going to require additional work before we actually expend the money. But we wanted to come to the council with these 3 projects in order to get your blessing to continue to move forward and to get on the path for getting these projects implemented. We are still working on the other projects. We are not abandoning any of those projects that we discussed. They just require a little bit more work and a little bit more background before we can bring them to the council for your authorization to proceed. So with that, I would like to ask Bob to go through the 3 particular projects that we're looking for council authorization on at this time.
So the first one, it would be the, in July, we approved some amendments to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund through the ARPA funding. We're looking to move that forward. So the first initiative would be to put some seed money into that trust fund. The first thing that needs to happen is I am going to request in February that you approve advertising for participation on the trust fund board. We need to file U.S. Treasury guidelines with respect to how the funds are allocated. They can't be done as a loan. They need to be done as a grant. They also need to be expended within a qualified census tract, which is our 305 census tract, which is the downtown area. We're requesting that we put $250,000 into this fund. The maximum grant amount would be $50,000 with the idea that we have many second-story above commercial spaces that could be utilized for residential. The trust fund board, when established, they'll develop what the award guidelines are. And moving ahead, as we talk about tax increment financing and additional revenue realized through redevelopment of Metacom Avenue corridor, we could have additional funds that could go into the trust fund. Those funds could be used as more of a revolving loan, but the final decision from Treasury on ARPA money is that this money needs to be a grant. The second program that we would like to move forward is the Building Facade Improvement Program. Again, this is going to be limited to a qualified census tract, which is the downtown area. Again, we're allocating $250,000, maximum grant of $25,000. Any of these exterior improvements, because it's in the downtown area, would have to be approved by the Warren Voluntary Historic District Committee. The manager and I will work on what the funding guidelines will be. We certainly don't want to give people money in advance and then they don't do the improvements, so we'll work through that. And the administration of this would be through my office. We have an expectation that they would be either architectural or engineering drawings showing us what those facade improvements were going to be. And then the third is to study the development of a strategic broadband plan. Through the infrastructure bill that the federal government has approved, broadband is a priority. The state is looking at this. Not sure that they're going to move at the same speed that we want to. So what we're suggesting is that we appropriate $15,000 to start our own study. Within the final rule from the Treasury, that doesn't need to be limited to the qualified distance census tract. We can look at the entire town. So we want to be able to get an idea of what the existing inventory and mapping of the networks are, how much is lit, how much is unlit, how much strand capacity is within existing conduit, what are people paying for services, who are providing these services. And then also looking at, is there feasibility to look at the town establishing its own internet service provider? New Shoreham, Block Island has recently established their own. Not sure that that's a viable alternative, but we want to look at that. And then lastly, we want to continue to work with the state in terms of accessing their broadband money that they're getting from the federal government. They're doing some mapping, but again, we have some concerns as to the expediency of how they're looking at that. And then as Kate said, we have some additional initiatives that we are working on, and our expectation is that we will bring those forward at the February meeting.
Mr. Rulli, was there a cap on our requests?
The cap, no, there wasn't. These are numbers that the manager and myself had come up with based on what the response we got from the public surveys. I think we've left some room in there that if we need to put additional funding in any of these programs, we have the ability to do that.
So the reason I'm asking is we'd like to allocate 250,000, but is there a realistic number that we wouldn't want to say 500,000? We have the need. So go ahead.
Councilman Fiscal, if I can take that. I think, what we had looked at was making sure that we had funding available to fund all the priorities that were identified by the public. So the amount that we are proposing at this point allows all those projects to move forward under the existing funding that's been allocated. However, that doesn't mean that we can't go back and add to these projects at a later time. So, if we allocate $250,000 now to, say, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and then another one of the items comes in, we decide to allocate less to one of the other projects, then we could certainly come back and add money to this project at a future date.
So we are following some amount.
Yes,
But
yeah.
maybe I didn't say it correctly, Bob. My thoughts and my speech sometimes aren't as tuned as they should be. So there is a number that we're going towards.
Yes, so
all of these add up. All of these add up
Right.
to that. Okay, that's what I meant to say. Like, what's stopping us from? So I couldn't remember that number, or if it was. So thank you.
So our total allocation is just over 3 million. That's our total allocation from the federal government.
I got it now. I remember.
We've received half, and then the other half we're due to receive next summer. And then up to 10% of those project funds can be reserved for administrative costs, so that we don't have to pay out of pocket for any of that administration.
Crystal clear. I remember now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a little refresh and back up to speed. Thank you, both of you, all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Well presented. Is the list of all 10 of the priorities as discovered through the public survey, that is still online, so people can refer back to it. So we'll have some numbers plugged into these amounts once we approve them, and then that can sort of just be an ongoing open project that people can follow.
Yes, there's a dedicated webpage on the website. It lists all the projects, and then there's links on the list to descriptions of each project. And then we can also link through those project charters as they're finalized, so that people are aware of what the milestones and deliverables will be on each project.
Very, very good. Mr. Rulli, did you have something further to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that we've been, with the manager's direction, we've been very deliberate in terms of how we've been approaching this in our conversations with the state. I think that they've acknowledged that we're probably more conscientious than a lot of other communities in terms of how this money is being appropriated. There's some suggestions from some municipalities that, we don't care what treasury requirements are, we're just going to spend the money. But if this money is not spent correctly, the federal government has the ability to claw back the money. And the expectation that they're not going to do that is not well-founded, because they've actually funded auditors to make sure that we look at this properly. So I think that we've distinguished ourselves throughout the state and been acknowledged by Mr. Zarnecki, who has been hired by the governor to review these projects, that we're on the right track, and that we're doing much better than everyone else, and that we have something that we can put on the refrigerator that says good job.
Gold star. All righty.
What's the money?
I will make a motion that we proceed with the APRA funding as proposed by the town manager.
Second.
All righty. All in favor, Councilman Di Pasquale?
Aye.
Councilman Heckert?
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda?
Aye.
And President Hanley?
Aye.
All righty, so we have approved the 3 chunks of funding for the 3 chunks of ARPA funding. And then the second component of the town manager's agenda is discussion and action regarding extension of contract services with HCH for on-call ARPA project management, which ties perfectly into this and is why we are on track and being given gold stars. We're actually being prudent and getting some good advice throughout this process. So Manager Michaud, if you just want to highlight some of the important points of this and ensure that we are doing the right thing.
Sure. So as you may recall, at the very start of this, before we even received the ARPA funding, we applied to the Rhode Island Foundation for grant funding to help us to assess the COVID needs and response of the community. So that was a $10,000 grant. We have paid HCH $5,000 to date out of that grant to help us up to this point to conduct the public surveys, to put together our projects. What I'm proposing is that we approve expending the other $5,000 of that grant to continue with the process and to finalize these project charters. and to get ourselves ready for implementation of the projects. What this contract extension would also do is to allow us to utilize HCH for project management as we determine is appropriate. Some of these projects will not require professional project management because they're small enough that we can manage them in-house, but some of them will require project management. And as I mentioned earlier, ARPA funds allow for 10% of the project funds to be expended for administration. So the anticipation is that we would not be expending town funds for those project management expenses, but it would come out of the project itself, which is something that we would budget from the beginning. One thing I also would like to note is that one thing that I don't think is explained well in the proposal is kind of the level of assistance that we're getting from HCH. It does talk about a per hour cost, but we consistently have 3 to 4 people from HCH working with us on the project. So it's not as if that cost per hour is for a single person. It's for, again, 3 to 4 people. We have, that are dedicated to working with the town of Warren and are there for us on call to work on these projects. And they each have specific, pieces of this and specific, a specific skill set that they bring to the table. So it's my recommendation that we approve, that you approve this contract extension, continuation, and that we move forward with the additional $5,000 worth of work that'll wrap up the Renown Foundation grant funding. And then, as I said, the on-call work will work through in our project budgets for each of the approved projects.
Go ahead, Mr. Hanley.
Anthony, you've read the contract. You're okay with it?
I have, yes.
I will make a motion that we approve the extension of the contract services with HCH for the on-call APRA project management.
Second.
Is there a question?
Mr. Hacker, yep, question.
I'll have to say, I had to read through this like more than 2 times. It's unbelievable. It's just the language, and I started thinking like these are all the options that we have when working with these folks. Is not that they will provide all of what they're saying here because it's so extensive. But yeah, I just wondered, how that $250 an hour is going to ramp up. I mean, I understand what you're saying now makes more sense that doesn't represent one person's work. It represents numerous people's work. And very necessary. Just so you think that it's obviously money well spent, and I get that, but do we see any projections on what these costs might escalate to?
So again, it would be limited to 10, not more than 10% of each project value. I wouldn't expect that the full 10% would go to HCH. Primarily, their key role is going to be in reporting. So one of our projects is to create a dashboard, a data dashboard, which should assist us in the reporting. So if we set ourselves up properly, the reporting itself won't be a heavy lift. But I would say it's self-limiting at that 10%, but I don't expect it to reach that 10%, not by a lot. But it would be project by project. So we could include it in the projects as we come back to the council with the developed charters and give you an upper threshold. But the way it's set up now, they would not be allowed to proceed with the $250 per hour. That would require approval to proceed under those terms, for each project. So it's not like we're writing them a blank check. We'd move forward with the 5,000, and then we would take each additional project on a case-by-case basis.
I have a question.
Just one follow-up. Just a language thing on the last page talks about proposing a remediation plan and then implementation of a remediation. What does that mean, remediation plan?
So the goal of all this funding is remediation. I mean, every single project that we have is supposed to be addressing the damage that's been done through the pandemic. So, you know, every project that we have, in some way, we have to tie it to impacts of the pandemic, and we have to show that it has somehow improved those negative impacts. So all of our plans are technically a remediation plan, and that's one thing that I think is important that we need to keep an eye on, you know, keep conscious of. And I think sometimes it's, in some of the conversations I've been part of, it, some other places people might have lost sight of that somehow this all has to tie back to COVID. And that, you know, this isn't just open funds that we can spend any way that we want. We have to keep in mind that we're trying to address a problem that was caused by COVID.
So the terminology is, that makes sense, remediation. Okay, thank you.
It's an intentional use of that terminology.
That segues directly into my question, is that this recommendation is for the specific guidance that HCH feels they have in fulfilling our fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility, if we get this money, to make sure that we are doing, number one, our request is in compliance, and then our actions are in compliance. That's what they're saying they're going to do, correct?
Right, and actually it's even a little bit trickier than that, because we're not making a request and it's not going to be approved. So the federal government sends us the
We already
money,
have the money.
and then we have to spend it, and then they will tell us if we did it right or wrong.
So did we go out to bid for this service, or is this just the approved vendor on the list?
So we have not gone out to bid for this service. It's a continuation of the previous agreement that we had with them for the first $5,000. You know, if we get to a point where we need to go back out to bid, then we certainly can. But discussions with the solicitor is that we don't need to go back out to bid at this point for a continuation of these services.
And we're comfortable and happy with the work they've shown to date.
We've been
They know what
extremely
they're saying?
happy. They know what they're doing. They're working with a number of communities, in not just in Rhode Island, but in other states as well. Honestly, I don't know how they've done as much as they've done for the payment that they received. I don't know how they make a profit doing that. But I guess that's not for me to worry about.
No. Thank you for the answers.
And I can share with you that, I mean, we had somebody from HCH here all day today, working on some of the other initiatives. And I wrote the grant that got us the initial money. And Kate and I have had this conversation many times. How are they doing this for this much money? But they're very thorough. And I think that, you know, again, we're leading the state in terms of our paying attention to dotting all the I's and crossing the T's.
Maybe they have a lot of clients and they're able to apply their knowledge to a lot of other people.
I actually think that they're using us as an example for future business. They had planned at the League of Cities and Towns Convention, which has been pushed back, to use us as a case study in terms of the kind of services they provide. So we'll maximize that as much as we can.
There you go.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second to extend the contract with HCH. Councilman DePasquale, your vote?
Aye.
Councilman Hecker?
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda?
Aye.
And Hanley?
Aye.
Motion passes. Continuing on, Finance Director, Revenues and Expenditures. Is Ms. Chan with us? And
Good evening, can you hear me?
yes, we can. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
As always, you have the report in front of you, but before I start, I want to bring it to everyone's attention that the report was prepared very early, right on the first day we returned to work in January. So quite a few things not posted to the report. However, with that consideration, after posting all those, I don't see that anything alarming.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you, Fung.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Fung. All righty. Moving on to the Recreation Director. Discussion and action regarding use of Burrs Hill Park and waived fees from the Mount Hope High School Band. They have some events planned for the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of May. One of those dates is a rain date. I see we have Rec Director Ms. Thibodeau here, and yes, so talk to us, please.
Motion to approve.
Or
Yeah, we don't want to take away the Tara's steam, but yeah, this is a no-brainer, right?
I do.
Second Joe's motion.
So I just want to say, we'll handle this similar to how we handle other events that take place at Burrs Hill. One-way parking will be requested. Parking on one side of the street. If the police chief feels it's necessary, they would be responsible for a police detail that they would cover the costs. They do expect probably about 1,500 people over the course of 2 days. One day will be choral, one day will be band. And so they have a 6 p.m. start time, and they'll set up prior to that, obviously, but it will be, it's a very well attended, and I think the community, it will be a great addition to the community.
Great.
thank you. So we have a motion and a second to approve use of the Burrs, or waiving the fees for the use of Burrs Hill Park for the Mount Hope High School Band and Chorus. Councilman DePasquale, your vote.
Aye.
Councilman Heckert.
Aye.
Councilman Kalenda.
Aye.
And President White.
Aye.
A resounding full support. Thank you. And next is discussion and action regarding pricing for the Memorial Bench Program. We have backup for that.
I do, and you should have received that as well. So really, it's at the actual cost. We go we carry the cost right from the manufacturer to the donors. There is no additional revenue that we take in for these. Over the course, since 2017, we have had 29 memorial benches. So I would say the program has been successful, and this is just the 2022 price increase.
Very good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All in favor. Let's do it all.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have town clerk. There is a request approval for the 2022 town council meeting schedule. This is amended. There was a typo in one of the dates, but we've got them all straightened out here.
Yeah, the only question I have is the one on the election day. Do we want to have the council meeting the day before the election, or do we want to move it 1 week and have the new council, or could be a new council, may not be?
No, it'll be a new council. It may not be new people.
Right, yeah, but I mean, do we want to have them the last, I don't know, it's just something that popped into my mind when I saw that in red. I don't particularly care either way. I just wanted to maybe get somebody else's thought on it.
Well, but just keep in remember, because of the ordinance and the charter, the new council they get sworn in December. They don't get sworn in November. So
Yeah, I think you're just talking about the busyness of the
right.
week.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
there may be campaigning the day before. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Ask me in June, but right now I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do.
So what do you want? You want to
We had a
push
council
it?
meeting.
You want to push it a week then? John?
Actually, if I may, The difficulty with that is the results might not be certified after a week.
Oh, okay.
Even with the voting systems that we have now, you might not know who the council people are the next week because the results haven't been certified. I think that's why Sandy recommended that you do it on the November 7th. So you have your
And the
monthly
following-
meeting.
And the
by-
following week is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then just, in December, that's when really the new council assumes control.
Okay, that's fine. It's something that entered my head.
Okay, so to be clear, the proposal is that we hold the regularly scheduled council meeting on Monday, the
Correct.
7th, because the election is on Tuesday, the 8th, and that would be a lot to deal with. Now, the notion of pushing it to the 15th, the following Tuesday is actually the week before Thanksgiving. So that there's no conflict with Thanksgiving there, but I just want to be sure that Clerk Speroni is confident that her team will not be overextending themselves the night before a general election when you have to be at the polls, when the polls open at 7 and whatnot. You're good.
Yeah, everything will be done prior to that. During the day, we'll have all the polls ready to open up and everything.
Okay.
Created this schedule.
And if something happens, and we are not bound to this, could we make an amendment to the schedule closer to the November date if there's major changes or something happens? We could amend this if it would be at your request.
You can, yes.
Okay, then I'm fine with it.
Like Tony was saying, you still might have to wait the 10 days.
Yeah.
So if you have to do that, it's still going to put you over to the next week. And we don't know what's going to happen. That's why if you do it then, it's the same council. They decide the same things. And if it's anybody different, it'll be different anyway in December if there is. So there'll be new things or things extended.
All right. So we need a
Make a
motion.
motion, make a motion, we accept the proposed regular meeting schedule from the town clerk
As amended.
as amended. Well, we didn't
Second.
amend it.
Yep.
It wasn't amended.
Yeah,
No.
we didn't amend it.
Yeah.
It was from last month.
Oh, okay, as amended from last month as proposed this month. Okay, yep.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. Congratulations to our new leadership team. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Nay.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.